Hello Snarkatarians, what's up? It's Jess. How are you today? Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. Last week, if you saw that video, I did a first impressions on the Milani Screen Queen foundation. This week I'm talking about another foundation, one that came out recently as well. This would be the Bite Beauty Changemaker Micellar foundation. So we're going to talk about this today. This is not a first impression. Obviously, I have a full face of makeup on. I've worn this foundation all week, kind of tried a few different primers and things, and I do have some pros and cons, and I will tell you exactly what I think about this foundation. I was somewhat familiar with Bite Beauty. I knew back in the day that it was mostly lip glosses, lipsticks, and lip balm sort of things. But recently, so I was watching Samantha Ravindal. She's a Canadian influencer, as well as Alana Davison. And there was a big kind of reveal. Everyone was asking what kind of foundation Samantha had been wearing. She couldn't say anything. She was very sly about it. And a couple weeks ago, she was able to say that it was this Bite Beauty foundation. I went to Sephora a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, 6 weeks ago, and I wanted to pick up one of their formulas, one of their lip glosses, the French Press, I believe it's called. And I heard really good things about it. Again, that was the only thing that I was really familiar with about Bite, and there was nothing there. The sign was still there for Bite Beauty, but there were no lip products. So clearly they were making way for the complexion things that they were bringing out recently. So they've apparently moved on from the lip products and are now focusing on complexion products. The new line that they came out with has a primer, I believe 3 different primers, 2 or 3 different primers, a foundation, and then a setting powder. I didn't really feel like getting a primer because I have one that works really well for me and my skin type. Also, I don't use powder very much, so I thought it was kind of pointless to get those 2 things, but I really did want to try this foundation because I heard a lot of good things about it. There was a lot of hype about it, so I grabbed it. It's $39.50, so it was a little bit of but I really wanted to try it because I heard great things about it. So I believe Bite is a Canadian company, a Canadian brand. As far as this foundation itself, I was a little confused with the wording, but it is a clean brand. You can get it at Sephora as well as bitebeauty.com. It is a buildable medium foundation. I said buildable. It's supposed to be long wearing. There are 32 shades. This is 1 ounce and it comes in a squeezy tube. There's no pump on it at all. It is a clean beauty brand, which means it is also vegan and cruelty free and has clean ingredients in it. One of the ingredients that it hypes up is maqui berry. It's an antioxidant and is supposed to nourish the skin. It's also supposed to be native to Patagonia, which is supposed to be some of the purest elements and environments on the planet. So let's go in there and dig around for some of these berries, shall we? Okay. For our foundation. Anywho, the thing that really confused me about this is it has micellar, it's this micellar foundation. Now when I hear the word micellar, of course what I think about is micellar water. And what that claims to do is to really kind of adhere to makeup and dirt on your skin and supposed to help everything come off cleanly and easily. So why would I want any kind of micellar technology in my foundation if I want it to last a long time? Actually, I think it's supposed to mimic the skin texture for more of a non-cakey application. This is, I would say, definitely a satin matte, like a very natural matte foundation. I found a finish, which I like. I'm kind of going in that direction. This is as matte as it gets. I did wear this. There were 3 specific times that I wore it throughout the week and had somewhat different results. So I'm going to tell you how I went about tweaking it and how I made it work for me. And I'm going to compare this to the Screen Queen foundation at the end of the video. That is the new Milani foundation that came out a few weeks ago. It is drugstore. It has more shades. I believe it has 40 shades. I'm just going to compare and contrast those 2 because I feel like the finish is pretty similar, the texture is pretty similar, and it's supposed to kind of do some of the same things. So we'll do that then. But I'm going to go through and tell you how I went about applying this throughout the week. Okay, so on day 1, the day before, I had gone to Sephora. I had a $30 gift certificate burn in a hole in my pocket, and I spent that and a lot more. One of the things that I really wanted to get and try is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. So I got the little trial size to see if I would like it or not. So I decided I was going to use that as my primer that day. And it does say in the directions, but I didn't realize this before I applied it, that it's better to kind of dot it on your face, like how I actually do that, and then go in with either your fingers or a brush for the best application, kind of starting in the center of your face and working outward. I kind of go from the top to bottom and smooth it out. I believe I used a brush initially. I haven't used my fingers to apply this, and then I went back in with a dampened sponge to kind of press it in my skin. That seems to work the best, smooth everything out. So I think on that day, as I said, I used the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I think I put too much on the palette and used too much. The first thing I noticed about it right off the bat, once it was all applied, was that it really kind of enhanced my pores and my texture on the skin. Also, as it started to settle into my skin, it started to develop kind of a waxy look to it, which I don't mind a little glow. I'm not a fan of oiliness, and it didn't look oily, but it definitely had like a waxy consistency to it. So I wasn't too keen on that. It wore throughout the day. I continued to have that waxy kind of feel or look to my face. It didn't feel sticky or greasy or anything like that. It felt really nice. It felt soft. It feels kind of satiny. So I had no problem with the texture of how it felt, but it just looked waxy and didn't complement my skin very well. As a matter of fact, it got cakey right here where I have these little fine baby peach fuzz hairs. It really started to cling to the area of my jawline here and start to look a little bit cakey. So I wasn't thrilled about it, but I thought if I can put something pore filling in, maybe that would help with that. So I did, on to day 2. So I decided that I wasn't too thrilled with the way it looked, at least with the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, and I would just go back to basics and use what I know works. So I did start with the Flower Beauty In Your Prime Hydrating Primer. This is my holy grail. This is my go-to, things that works with all kinds of foundations, never have a problem with it. I use this as my primer. I did actually go in then with my Maybelline Master Blur Stick just to kind of smooth out the pores here and kind of get those filled in a little bit better, since that's where it was most enhanced. Then I went in with a little bit less product, did it the same way, dotted it on my face, and then used a brush. And I think that actually was the best that it had looked. It didn't look waxy. It did have a nice dry down, again, satin matte. It also looked more radiant than it did waxy. It looked a lot more natural throughout the day. Also, by the end of the day, same thing happened though. It was starting to get cakey at my jawline, kind of break up a little bit, especially on my chin. So that was day 2. Day 3, I did the same exact thing, except I forgot to put in the pore filling stick. Everything was pretty much the same, except my pores were just a little bit more enhanced since I didn't have that stick on. So all in all, it's fine. I like it. I wore it all week. I didn't have too many problems with it, but I thought, like I said before, I think it's somewhat comparable as far as texture and finish to the Milani Screen Queen. So I'm going to actually go through and compare and contrast both of those. So as far as the Milani goes, it is $13.99. It is a much more affordable product. You can get it in the drugstore wherever Milani products are sold, Target, Walmart, obviously Ulta, and Milani's website. I don't know if they have it at Walgreens, but like I said, wherever they sell Milani products, you can certainly find it there. It is a glass bottle with a pump. Like I said, the bite is a squeeze tube. It also says, interesting, to massage the tube to kind of get things and the air kind of out of it, which is hard to do if you don't have the cap off. And I'm not going to massage anybody's tube with their cap off because things could go everywhere. It could get messy. Price-wise, again, the Milani is $13.99, much more affordable. The bite is $39.50. You do get 1 fluid ounce in both Milani and the Bite foundation. Milani has 45 shades to it, which is fantastic. Bite isn't bad, but it only has 32, so Milani definitely wins as far as the shade range. They're both cruelty-free and vegan. However, Bite is known more as has clean ingredients in it. Milani does not have that tout. They both kind of have a weightless feel. I think they're kind of thick when you pump them out, when you first get some product on your palette or on your hand, but it does feel very lightweight. I think the Bite actually feels a little bit more whipped. not super whipped, not like that souffle stuff that is a pain in the butt to blend out, but I think it's kind of on the more whipped side. But they're both really lightweight in texture on the skin. They have a couple of natural ingredients in it. The one I can't pronounce in the Milani, the nasturtium flower, and then in the Bite it has the maki berry. They're both medium buildable coverage. However, I feel Milani kind of fails a little bit on that. I feel like the coverage on that is a little lighter. I would say that is maybe a light to a very, very low medium. Not quite as buildable. I think the Bite is a little bit more of a medium finish and a little bit more buildable. They both have a satin matte finish to them, texture to them. I don't feel like they're necessarily tacky. They have a nice dry down period. I didn't have any problems putting any other makeup or blush or bronze or anything on my face. I don't feel like it caught too much. The one thing I do want to say I noticed today is that I had a little bit of a dry patch here. This is the Bite Beauty foundation that I'm wearing today. I did find a little bit of a dry patch here, so I'm not exactly sure why that happened today and not the other days, because I didn't really change up too much. Where I find Milani is a little bit more ahead of the game than the Bite Beauty is that it is very smoothing. I loved the way my complexion looked throughout the day, the entire day. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw my pores looked really smooth. Everything looked really even. It was wearing away very evenly. The Bite did too, but like I said, it got a little cakey down here in my little peach fuzz hairs by the end of the day. I definitely need that blur stick with the Bite foundation. And finally, as I said before, the Milani was a little less cakey by the end of the day. Actually, it was a lot less cakey by the end of the day. There was more cakiness to the Bite foundation. So that's it. Pretty much overall, I feel they're pretty very similar. They do have enough differences in them that I think I would tend to go towards the Milani Screen Queen foundation. If you don't need a lot of coverage, that's an excellent one to use. If you need a little bit more coverage, go with the Bite. If you want clean ingredients, go with the Bite. But again, they're both cruelty-free and vegan. So I think that's a winner. Just comparing the two, especially with the price, I will definitely go with the Milani. I will use the Bite up. I'll finish using that up. That's fine. The Milani is just more economically savvy, I think, and has nicer results for a longer period of time. So, as far as the rest of the makeup that I'm using today, I have the BH Cosmetics Brilliance Bronzer in Golden Gal. I have my Cover FX Monochromatic Blush in Soft Peach, which I love. So use that kind of as a little highlight as well. The other thing I'm going to talk about this soon, probably in the next video or two, when I was at Sephora, I got a couple of the Fenty Beauty Snap Shadows. This one is in Cadet, and then I also got one of their smokier shadows in the Cools. These are the colors here. I'll go through maybe a tutorial and do kind of this eye look. I have some things to say about this as well. On my lips, I am wearing some ColourPop Ultra Satin Lip in Delilah, and also New Day gloss on my lips. I'm thinking that I'm gonna start posting my videos on Monday evenings. Let me know what you think about that. I feel like I've done that before and I've gotten a better response to my viewership, but I'm gonna play around with that a little bit. So if you don't see it on the weekend, I'm gonna give it a try on a Monday evening, probably around 7 o'clock. But if you're new here to this channel, which I probably should have mentioned before, hi, I'm Jess. I try to post once a week at this point. I'm hoping to eventually post more times than that further on down the line. I either post on the weekends or now I'm going to try on Monday. If you found this video to be informative or entertaining to some degree, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Also subscribe to my channel. Ring the notifications bell so you know when I post, if for some reason I'm having an off week and don't post on time. Also follow me on Instagram. I hope you all are staying healthy. This has been a crazy winter so far. I mean, every January, you know, around this time, the beginning of the year, I feel like there's some really weird bugs going around, but especially this year, man, there's some stuff. I have friends that had pneumonia. Matt's parents got some really bad upper respiratory thing going on. And what is this coronavirus? It's very misleading. I would think that every time somebody got a coronavirus, the corona got its Lyme, but that's not the case. It's pretty messy. It's pretty bad stuff. So stay away from that. And hopefully you don't have to travel to China anytime soon. And if you're there, I hope you can get out. So be safe. But other than that, thank you so much again for joining me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.